Hi guys, today I'm going to spend a bit of time telling you how to use DAZ's new Premiere feature, or DAZ Studio Premiere Pose Converter. Uh, Now, this is a really crappy tool. It's not going to affect Zev0's sales of Pose Converter at all because it's so badly implemented. So the theory is that you choose a figure, Genesis 9 figure for example, go into your Genesis 8 poses, for example, or Genesis 3, it doesn't go any older. Then you go up to here, edit, figure, and then down here, round about where the rigging button is, where is it here, there should be a menu called Pose Converter. For me, it doesn't exist. I've done everything I can to find it. However, what I can do is click on this and press Control Alt P and it will apply the pose. So that's actually a much more practical way of doing your poses anyway, to be honest. Saves you going into 15 menus. But why do I call it crappy? Well, because it should do it automatically. It should automatically recognize in the header to the file, it identifies which figure the pose is for, and then it should just convert it automatically. You shouldn't be having to mess about 5 menus deep to be able to apply it. But that's just one problem I've got. But I'm going to show you how to convert convert a whole bunch of poses in that aisle. So there's another reason why it's really crap, is because you can only do one pose at a time. So supposing I want to save this file, so I've got a pose here called and over here, and then I want to convert that and I want to put it into my Genesis 9 poses folder. I can only do one pose at a time, which absolutely is disgraceful. Really shit. For a feature that's costing you $200 and something a year, $227 a year, the fact that they haven't even thought to do batch pose conversion is really just lazy, minimum effort crap from DAZ. I'm so disgusted by them. But I'm going to show you a way to simplify the process of converting. So what I have here is my Windows Explorer, and here's the folder. So it's a product I can created called Standing Poses. So what I've done, here's my Genesis 9 folder, and I'm going to create poses, and then I'm going to create standing poses in there. And for this, I'm actually going to create another folder called male, because as you probably know, when you do female poses, if they have high heels on, it's a different thing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this standing folder and I'm going to drag it into that mail, but I'm going to do copy, not move. So I right clicked, drag, copy. So that leaves the original folder unchanged. And you're wondering, why would I do that? I'll show you now. So now I've done that, and I'm going to go back to my Genesis 9 folder here. I'm going to right click and do refresh. And what you'll see now is there's a folder there called mail, and then subfolders here for all of my stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gradually put these on one at a time. So I'm going to lose the thumbnails, but they're easy to add so long as I use the same names, which I'm going to. So I'm going to go here. But incidentally, look, if I double click this, just in that case, it screwed his head up. But so I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control Alt P, and that applies that pose. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do plus, save pose preset, and I'm going to save it back to the same name. It's going to say it already exists, but this is the really important bit. This section here, this general, I'm going to turn that off completely. Now you could go through here, if the pose is designed for a specific position in your scene, you could leave some or all of these on, but I suggest that you always save poses with this general column turned off, because then wherever the pose is applied, wherever the figure is, it doesn't transform or rotate that figure to some other point in the scene. And then I just do accept, and I can tell I've saved it because the thumbnail is changed. And then what I'm just going to do, I'm going to go through a whole bunch of these, and I'm just going to save them. So I'll just do this as the last one over here, like this. Yes, I do want to replace it. Open this up, turn off general, and accept, and I can check that they're applied. So I've just saved this one, but I'll apply the previous one here. And I personally created a couple of neutral ones. So I've got one here that resets everything. So that's the position, the translation, the rotation. I've got one here that resets only the position. I've got one here that resets only the pose. So if I do this pose reset, that just sets the pose to 0. Then I do save again. And again, I'm going to turn off the general here. But this time I'm going to do reset position. So this is already to 0 position, but I'm going to save it to reset position. And I'm sure you can figure out what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to open this. I'm going to turn off everything except the position. And then I'm going to leave that on there. And then reset all this time. Obviously, because this is in the 0 position, I'm not having to move this around much, but you would see this, like, for example, if I take this figure and move it, for example, and do reset position, in theory. Oh no, I've got the. Okay, no, that's not resetting the position. Okay, I'm back. You probably see the panels moved. I don't know why. When I did that reset position, it didn't work the first time, but I've just done exactly what I showed you the second time, and it works fine. So I just do to do reset position only, save a pose, reset position, save, and then I'm going to turn that off to reset everything, but then I'm going to turn on this column here, general, and then that will reset the position, but not the poses. So the reason that this is an easier way of doing it is that you can go through one at a time. You can see the pictures when they're changed, the icons, and you can see your progress. This really ought to be a batch conversion. I ought to be able to take this whole folder, click a single button, and it should do all of it for me and keep the icons. But as I say, DAZ is super lazy. Now, the last thing you might want to do is if you go into here, so here's my new poses that I've been doing, and you'll see here that they've got the old icon, the redone icons. So what I could do is then take these icons and again make sure that you don't copy them across. And I'm just going to choose the PNG files here, and I'm just going to drag that on top. Now this is automatically created a tip image as well, which is I believe a 256 by 256 image that enlarges when you mouse over. I'm not going to create those for now, I'm lazy. But so then I just do that, and I'm going to replace that. So I just dragged and copied so as to not affect the original. And now if I go back to here, so you'll see I just did hand over here, and if I now refresh that folder, right click on the folder name, do refresh, and you'll see that now has a nice new icon as well. Or rather, it has the original icon, but it looks nice. So that's by far and away your easiest way of copying your poses. But I strongly suggest that if you have a lot to do, maybe you're a commercial creator, that in actual fact what you do is buy batch pose converter by ZEV0 at the DAZ store. Given that you're paying so much for this, fairly unforgivable, I would say. But anyway, hopefully that'll help you. You take care.